This is going to be a little bit different today. Downright Sports will blend in with the podcast. I'm just talking because this is a special show, a Hall of Fame worthy show, as we discuss the Baseball Hall of Fame, who's in, who's out, who should be in, who should be out. Let's go. One time or multiple times, depending on how well I can pull this one off. It is a YouTube podcast, iTunes, Google Play collaboration. A lot of people do this. A lot of people videotape their podcasts. I don't. I like having the differences in my YouTube show versus the podcast, because the I'm Just Talking podcast that I'm speaking of, if you're watching on Downright Sports, which is on YouTube, the I'm Just Talking podcast is normally, something I just ramble on, and I feel, more comfortable. I just dress down on it, thus me with the jacket. This is for show. But we're doing a very special sports show today. It's for the MLB Hall of Fame, Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. The announcement is coming up next week, the 25th, which I believe, when I pull up my handy-dandy calendar, is next Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. And I am wrong, it's next Thursday. All good in the hood, my G. We're going to discuss today who should be in, who should be out, who's definitely guys that who've been on the ballot that should already been in, where the discussions lie, how the reporters vote. It's kind of discussed, some of the decision making and what goes into it. With that being said, last year's Hall of Fame class inducted Jeff Bagwell, Tim Raines, Pudge Rodriguez, and Commissioner Bud Selig. Pudge was his first time on the ballot, he got in. Tim Raines was his last time on the ballot, and Jeff Bagwell, I believe, was his second time. Notable guys this year, first timers are Chipper Jones, Jim Tomei, Scott Brocious, Johnny Damon, Omar Vizquel, and Johan Santana. Those are some names to just throw at you. Also, Chris Carpenter, who used to pitch for the St. Louis Cardinals. These are guys who their first time on the list, first time on the ballot. Mike Messina, also, I left his name. No, Messina was on it last year. If I'm not mistaken, we're going to discuss that. Two guys who already been on the ballot. Where is Mikey? Yeah, this is Mike Messina's fifth year. They changed the rules. It used to be you have 15, now you got 10. If you're not in on the 10th, you got to now move to what used to be called the Veterans Committee. Now they have the Modern Baseball Committee, whatever. But guys on the first ballot, as we're going to discuss right now, who should probably go in right now, who look like they have a better opportunity. If you look at some of the names, Andrew Jones, I meant to add to that list also. Guys who probably, Vlad Guerrero, also on that list. Out of the first timers, Chipper Jones is an easy one. Chipper's in, no question. We won't even try to look for a logic while he's not. Chipper Jones is one of the best players to ever step foot in a baseball on a baseball diamond. The guy was a bona fide stud. He is without a doubt, one of the most respectable guys in all of baseball. He played his entire career with the Atlanta Braves. He was a MVP candidate almost all the time. He was worthy. You knew who Chipper Jones was. If you were an average baseball guy, you knew who Chipper was. Look at his numbers, and he played multiple positions. He's known for being a third baseman, but Chipper played outfield too. But look at his numbers. Chipper had 468 career home runs, 2,726 career hits. His WAR, if you believe in such a thing, was 85. Some of his achievements, like he's a multiple-time Gold Glove winner, won the World Series, 8-time All-Star, MVP, 2-time Silver Slugger, has a batting title. The guy is just a beast. Like I said before, you knew who Chipper Jones was. If you said Chipper, that's all it was needed to be said. There was no more conversation after that. He was the face of the Atlanta Braves next to Smoltz, Glavine, and Maddox. But Chipper on the field, and you could name other guys. You could name Andrew Jones. You could name Fred McGriff, David Justice. But it was Chipper Jones who was there the whole time. Because all those other guys I mentioned all left eventually. None of them all played their whole career with the Atlanta Braves. Another guy who's on this year who I think is without a doubt a first ballot guy is Jim Thome. Some people say, well, he was a DH. That is a lie, and that is false. Jim Thome played a bulk of the end of his career at DH because he was older, but the beginning part of his career, Jim Thome was a first baseman for the Cleveland Indians. And let's not forget, he left Cleveland to go to play in Philly at first. He was able to do that, and he wanted to do that. Jim Thome, if you look at what he's done, 5-time All-Star, Silver Slugger, but where it matters, 612 career home runs, 2,328 hits. His WAR was 72, 12 points off of Chipper Jones. He's even got 19 career stolen bases. Give it to him. But the man, when he came to the plate, you feared him. He was a slugger. He could put the ball in the stratosphere, and he was just clutch. He went to the World Series twice, if I'm not mistaken, because he was on the 95 Cleveland Indians and then the 97 Cleveland Indians that would lose to the Florida Marlins, down to Miami Marlins. But if you're going by the names I gave you off, Chipper and Thome have to be in on this ballot. I don't think Johnny Damon's good enough to get in. Guys who are borderline to me, Scott Rowland, maybe not this ballot, but definitely he's got to be a consideration. Scott Rowland, over 2,000 career hits, 300 career home runs, 7-time All-Star, World Series MVP, 8-time Gold Glover, 15th all-time of home runs at the position of third. He's just a stud, man. Scott Rowland was just a monster of a man. Who else we got? These are first timers. These are the first timers. We'll talk about some other guys. Andrew Jones. Looking at Andrew's numbers, Andrew's got 434 career home runs. Didn't know that. Where it's most impressive for Andrew is he's a 10-time Gold Glover. He won 10 straight from 1998 to 2007. That he was just a beast. 5-time All-Star. But does he get in because of his defense? If he doesn't get in this time, I think he gets in later. I don't think he's on this one. I think this is a 2-man year. Johan Santana, he had a decent career, but not good enough. His body kind of fell apart. He played 12 years. His best years, of course, was Minnesota with the Twins. His record is 131-78, 4-time All-Star, 2-time Cy Young Award winner. He's got a triple crown in there. He pitched a no-hitter his last year, but I still don't think it's enough for him to get in because he's never been. He doesn't have any playoff wins that put him over, and then his regular season, his numbers is good, and I don't think he was that. He was a good pitcher in a steroid era, but I don't know if that should put him in the Hall of Fame. Carlos Zimmerman, I used to love this guy, but he's not a Hall of Famer. Move on. Jamie Maurer, pitched until he was 46, still not a Hall of Famer. Omar Vizquel has to go in. 3-man, I added him. Omar Vizquel, not because of his bat, because of his defense. Omar Vizquel, if you know baseball, he was a rock star. 11-time Gold Glove playing shortstop, and he played for a long time. 3-time All-Star. Well, in his defense, he had to compete against A-Rod, Jeter, and Nomar around the time when he was playing. He's got over 2,000 career hits, to be exact, 2,877 career hits. His all-time batting average is 272. I think there's a comparison on here. Guys, to compare him to... I'm not going to go through that. We'll probably come back to that. Yeah, here we go. Similar guys that are in the Hall of Fame, they compare him to Ozzie Guillen. They compared him to Ozzie. Pee Wee Reese, Hall of Famer. Jimmy Rollins, potential Hall of Famer. So if Ozzie, who was not known for his stick, but was known for his defense, and same for Pee Wee Reese, I think you got to put Omar in, man. Omar was good. He was, when you said defense, that's who you thought about. Anyway, this segment went on a little bit long. We're going to wrap this up real quick. When we come back on the podcast, you're going to hear some music. For the YouTube show, it's just going to be a quick switch over. But when we come back, we're going to talk about guys who have been on the ballot that should be in. This is I'm Just Talking in Downright Sports. All right. YouTube, Downright Sports podcast world. As far as iTunes, this is I'm Just Talking. Should just made one name for one show, but whatever. It's a Hall of Fame show. Let's dive into it. Guys who have been on the ballot for a while, who have not got in. First of all, tangent for a second. If you're watching on YouTube and I'm not looking at the screen, don't forget, I'm also doing a podcast. So this is more of a podcast than it is the traditional show. So don't text me later, people that know me, talking about, you are looking at the camera. Quiet, all right? Just listen. Anyway, there have been some names who have been on the ballot for a couple years. Trevor Hoffman, Vladimir Guerrero, 2 years. Trevor Hoffman, 3 years. Edgar Martinez, 9 years. Mike Messina, 5 years. Kurt Schilling, 6 years. Larry Walker, 8 years. Fred McGriff, 9 years. Jeff Kent, 5 years. Gary Sanchez, 4 years. I'm going to focus on these guys. I'm not going to go through everybody. I'm going to focus on these guys, all right? These are names that we know. These are names that we love. These are names that we grew up watching. When you said Edgar Martinez, you knew it automatically Seattle Mariners. You knew who he was, what he did, and how much of a stud. You knew Ken Griffey Jr. and A-Rod and Randy Johnson. Guess what? All those guys were Hall of Famers, including Edgar. Edgar was a beast, was a stud, was a monster. My clock is not working, but it's all good. I just have to do it up here. If you look at Edgar's numbers, there's no reason Edgar should have been on this ballot for 9 years. And the BS that he was a DH is just that. It's BS. Because everyday players are everyday players, whether you're in the field or not. The purpose of the game is to score runs. You don't score any runs if you play third. You can prevent a run, but you don't score any. By Edgar being a DH, a position that's been around since 73, it shouldn't be held accountable against him. If you look at Edgar's numbers, over 2,000 career hits, a batting average of 312, 300 career home runs, over 1,200 RBIs. Guys, notable guys that you could compare him to. Those are the guys he played. Ernie Banks is one of the guys you compare him to. Guess what? Ernie Banks is a Hall of Famer, without a doubt. If you let's look at Ernie's numbers real quick. Elgin Banks. Damn, I blew that one. It is not Ernie Banks. I got excited. I was like, they're comparing this guy to a Hall of Famer, and it wasn't. All right, so there are no Hall of Famers he's been compared to on the comparison list. Hey, that's what makes the show good. That's why I don't edit it, because it's fun. All right, you should have it. Some of his notable stuff, he has a 2-time batting title, 7-time All-Star, 5-time Silver Slugger. The guy is a monster. He was the best DH of his time. You got to put him in. It's a position. It's been a position for a long time. If you got relief pitchers in, they don't pitch. They're not starters. They're relief pitchers. There's an asterisk to them because they can pitch every day. You got to put the DH in, man. You don't hold that against him. Another guy I think should be in right now, maybe not the first time, but definitely the second time down. This is his third. Vlad Guerrero. His numbers also fly off the chart. Vlad is, he's hit 318. That's his career numbers. 318. He's an MVP, 9-time All-Star, 8-time Silver Slugger, and he played in the field. Over 2,590 hits, over 1,400 RBIs, 449 home runs, and he had 181 stolen bases. The biggest takeaway from him, when he came up to bat, you feared him. There was no way to pitch to him because he would hit the ball. He literally hit a ball that bounced. Hit a ball that bounced. All right. Now the thing that you take away from it is he played for so many different teams. He was a Expo. He was an Angel. He played for Texas and he finished his career in Baltimore. But his years with the Expos and the Angels are the years that we remember the most. And he just always looked like he was hurt, but he wasn't. He was just a throwback player. He was just a monster. Vlad Guerrero was it. When you played a video game, if you got Vlad Guerrero on your team, you were doing all right. The guys that he's compared to, Miguel Cabrera, Hall of Famer. Jeff Bagwell, Hall of Famer. Jim Rice, Hall of Famer. Willie Stargell, Hall of Famer. Billy Williams, Hall of Famer. And that's it. Everybody else is not a Hall of Famer. But the fact he's compared to them? Come on. It's a better argument I made than Edgar Martinez. You got to put him in. Now, guys who shouldn't be in, Kurt Schilling shouldn't be in. It's not a Red Sox bias, but let's be real. Kurt was great in the postseason. His regular season numbers don't warrant. Now he has over 200 career wins. Good for him. His ERA is 3.4. Strikeouts is not the biggest thing in the world. It's not, but he has over 3,000 career strikeouts. He's a World Series champion 3 times. He's played in the World Series 4 times. 6-time All-Star. World Series MVP with Arizona. So I think he's got the stuff. I just don't think he was. I think he was the benefactor on good teams. Now you go, oh, about these guys out there that did the same thing. I don't know if Kurt Schilling ever really led his team. Some of the comparisons for him, CeCe Sabathia, who I think is borderline John Smoltz, who is in, Tim Hudson, damn good pitcher, who, when his name comes up, is going to be tough too, and Kevin Brown. Kevin Brown's at a Hall of Famer. Mark Burley, same thing. These are all borderline guys. I don't think you put Schilling in this year. I think you make him, especially he's been running his mouth a little bit, and that shouldn't matter. Maybe next year. Schilling gets in eventually. He gets in. Gary Sanchez, he's got over 500 career home runs, but he's not getting in. I don't think he's done enough to warrant that. Who else did I mention? Jeff Kent. Real quick, I won't harp on this too long. Kent should be in. Jeff Kent was one of the best second baseman to ever play the game. He's an MVP, 5-time All-Star. In fact, the year he won the MVP, beat out Barry Bonds. 4-time Silver Slugger. If you look at his numbers, 290 career hitter, over 2,000 career hits, 377 home runs. Second basemen don't hit home runs a lot. And I hope his name is on this list that I'm about to pull up. I really do. But it is not. I'm gonna pull it up when we come back from break, and I'm gonna just go real quick on Jeff Kent to talk about Joe Morgan, because I think their numbers are similar. I don't think Joe Morgan's numbers blow you off the paper like that neither. Should Mike Messina be a Hall of Famer? My bias, yes, because he was a great Yankee. All right. When we come back, we're going to talk about the ugly stepchild in the room. That is steroids. This is Downright Sports, and I'm just talking the simulcast. We are back. You may not be hearing this if you listen to the podcast. I'm doing some editing right now because something went wrong. It's all good. Real quick, while we're doing the YouTube show, let's do the shout-outs. Shout out to everybody. It's very important to say shout out to everybody. Music just blasted in my ear. Shout out to my producer of the I'm Just Talking podcast, my man DJ Chase, and then shout out to everyone else out there that watches. My man Dave Beam, Preston Stewart, Brad, Dave, all of you guys. My man Brad with his OK Productions, OK Projects, on YouTube. My homegirl Meg is doing her thing with the old school video games. Everybody's doing something constructive, so giving the world their credit where it's due. And if I forgot you, I'm sorry. Shoot me a text and I'll make sure on the next one I'll get you. I am burning up in this jacket. Real quick, last segment we talked to Scott Rowland, comparing him to Joe Morgan. Here's Joe Morgan's numbers. Career 271 batting average, 268 home runs, 1,100 RBIs. He had a lot of stolen bases. He had over 689 stolen bases, and he had over 2,517 career hits. If you look at Jeff Kent. Kent's numbers. Kent is only 100 hits less than Morgan. He has more career home runs than Morgan. He's at a better batting average than Joe Morgan. So why the hell is Jeff Kent sitting on the ballot for 6 years? Jeff Kent needs to be a Hall of Famer. Now, the only thing Morgan has over him is a 2-time MVP, 10-time All-Star, 5-time Gold Glove, 2 World Series championships, an All-Star MVP, a Silver Slugger, and a Player of the Year category. So, there's those things too that can stop a guy from getting in. But at the same time, I think Jeff Kent was the second baseman of his time. There was nobody better. I mean, Roberto Alomar, but power-wise, no, come on. Now, this subject is going to be juicy because there are some guys that should be in the Hall of Fame that are not because of what they've done in the past, and we're diving into that quickly. We're talking Sammy Sosa, Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens. That's it. The others who may have been on the steroid list, we're not going to really dive into that. Manny Ramirez, got to throw Manny's name out there. Now, the question is, what qualifies you as a Hall of Famer? Is it your numbers? Is it your play? Is it your impact? What you did? The Hall of Fame is a museum. For good or bad, museums have good and bad. If you go to the Smithsonian, they have everything in it. They have good history, bad history. They have the presidents. They got presidents that were kicked out, presidents that were impeached. For good or bad, Richard Nixon is remembered as being a president. He's not taken off from being a president. He's remembered for being a president. For good or bad, Donald Trump will be remembered for being a president. So we don't really, for guys like Sammy, Barry, and Roger, there are no positive tests proving that they took steroids. So we don't know if those guys, maybe those guys just got fat in their old age because they're in the gym just clanging and banging and they just got big. Who's to say guys like who we have put in the Hall of Fame weren't on steroids? You know what I'm saying? The guys who didn't have the eye test, meaning his head didn't get fat. Barry Bonds is the all-time home run leader. The clock scared me. Barry Bonds is the all-time home run leader. He's like first, second, and third in almost a lot of categories. Should be it. Roger Clemens, his numbers, let's just go with this. He has an MVP, a Cy Young, 2 Triple Crowns, 2 World Series, an All-Star MVP, Major League Player of the Year, a 7-time ERA title, and he's 11-time All-Star. Oh, and by the way, he only pitched the Red Sox, the Yankees, and the Astros to the World Series. He has over 300 career wins. He's got over 4,000 strikeouts. He's the all-time strikeout leader as a righty or some crazy crap like that. He was the best pitcher of his time. No drug could do that. Now, Sammy Sosa is a little bit of a hidden mystery because his batting average is atrocious, but he has over 600 career home runs. He's the only player in the history that hit 63 times in a row. Let me say that again. He hit 63 times in a row. You don't believe me? Here we go. No, he didn't hit it in a row, but he's only got to hit 63 times. He had 60 back-to-back years. 98, 66, 99, 63, 2001, 64. Okay? And in between that, he had 50 in 2000, 49 in 2002, 40 in 2003, 35 in 2004 when his career was going down. So don't give me the crap that the guy wasn't a beast. Because he was. Sammy Sosa is an MVP, 7-time All-Star, Major League Player of the Year, and a 6-time Silver Slugger. And was the face of the Chicago Cubs when they were terrible. So I think you got to put... Now, he looks crazy now because he bleached himself. But you got to... This guy's numbers speak for himself. And he has no positive tests. When they started testing, he was playing and never got caught. Rafael Palmeiro got caught. Enough said. Alex Rodriguez got caught. Enough said. So, enough's enough. I know you reporters with your malarkey and your morals. You got racists, drunks, wife beaters, and cheats in the Hall of Fame. Enough's enough. Put these guys in. You have to put the asterisk. You can't put an asterisk on their name because there's no proof. There's no proof. You would have to put everybody from the quote-unquote steroid era, like the WWE Attitude Era, you have to put everybody with an asterisk on their plaque. It's only fair. So when Derek Jeter goes in, Derek Jeter has to have a plaque that says steroid era. Jeff Bagwell, steroid era. Ken Griffey Jr., steroid era. All those guys are going to have the steroid era on their plaque because it's only fair. Enough's enough. This has been Downright Sports. This has been I'm Just Talking. This has been fun, confusing, and I'm going to hate editing this crap later. You guys enjoy. Have a good day. And treat everybody nice.